Hello, everyone, and welcome back to God of War. We now have a head that we have to revive by a witch.
The water dropped.
Kratos' life is weird.
Yeah, it kind of is. At least it's a bit more low key these days. He's getting a little too old for this shit, you know. I mean, he's got a beard. That means he's older, right?
Well, he had a beard before.
Did he?
Yeah.
She seems competent.
Well, he kind of had like.
It's still a beard.
He's got an old wise man beard now.
No.
That means he's older.
Yeah.
But you may feed
You know
it to
what
the
I
fish.
mean. He's
give
literally
it-
activated beard mode.
Give it a few more centuries, and he'll be pondering orbs with the best of them.
Has anyone like?
I love the pondering orb.
Has anyone thought to make a mock-up of like the completionist intro that has the whole beard mode transformation, but it's Kratos instead?
Well, now someone will.
But was Kratos ever clean shaven?
Yeah, he was in the old games.
No, he wasn't.
No, he had a
He
goatee.
wasn't?
he had a goatee.
Yeah, he had a goatee.
It was a little hard to see because PlayStation 2 graphics, but yeah.
You know, I'm just imagining him shaving himself with the Blades of Chaos, though. And that's why he has the beard, because he lost them.
Kratos, these blades are meant for power and for slaying your enemies. Nope, shaven away.
No, Kratos has a beard because they implemented Witcher 3 beard growing technology, and he just hasn't found the barber yet.
Wait, hold on. In Witcher 3, if you don't
I like
shave for
beard
long
growing
enough, you
technology.
actually grow a beard.
You grow a beard and your hair, yes.
You see, that sounds like the kind of Peter Molyneux bullshit that, like, they talk about when they're making Fable, but, like, didn't actually really work in Fable.
Well, he literally talked about growing trees, but, you know.
Yeah, but it's just like, that's the sort of thing where Peter Molyneux saw that and he's just like, hair growing, why didn't I think of that? And he's just shaking his fist at The Witcher. Is
But,
the
like,
movie
you know.
any, not the movie, the TV show for that any good? I have not played the games or watched the TV show.
Apparently,
I hear
apparently
generally good
season 1
things.
is okay and season 2 is better.
Yeah, it's like I don't hear particularly bad things about it.
Yeah.
Like it's a decent adaptation, but you know, like it's an adaptation of a book series, so there's a lot to work with there.
Yeah, I also don't know how good the books are either.
It's also the second TV show based on the series, so they have like
There's
a
there's an
reference point.
older Witcher TV show?
Oh yeah, from well before the video games.
Wow, okay.
The Witcher is pretty big in Poland, you know.
Yeah, I remember hearing, like, on the internet from someone Polish who said the English translations of the books are really bad. So I don't know. Like, again, if you like are used to reading it in the original language, you probably would think that any translation's bad.
If you're gonna base that on like literalism and the exact meanings of things and what should have been localized to what name, then maybe. But the actual like writing in the translation is good, and I'd rather have that than some stilted, dry mess like Log Horizon.
Yeah,
I
people
really
just
wanna
get
like those
touchy
light
about
novels, but-
about translations a lot of the time, I know. Like, as an example, like, I've seen some fan translations of, like, Dragon Quest stuff, and personally, I know that it's controversial for some people in the fan base, but I prefer the goofy-ass, like, accents and shit like that, and the silly names or whatnot, because, like...
I mean, then you wind up... I can understand it a little bit because then you wind up with that Pro ZD bit where it's like, at last, final boss, it is time to do our duel to do the fate of the world. Kablam, what's out, kablooey!
Well, I mean, that's the thing is that, like, that's how the spells sound in Japanese too.
No,
like,
I get it. It's just one of those. It kind of takes all the tension out of the moment.
I mean, it does.
I find it an odd choice to name spells like after an onomatopoeia.
Well, the games
It's like,
are.
I get it because that's how Japan does things. That's just how their language works.
Yeah.
So it's like on a fundamental level, I get it. Just from an English speaker's perspective, it's just this is silly.
It
It's
is. I mean,
silly.
Dragon Quest is a silly series, so you know.
It's
Face my wrath, dragon.
It's odd. It's odd because specifically because it's magic spells, you expect them to have a more esoteric feeling. Like, for example, Persona and Shin Megami Tensei. Yeah, it's a little hard getting used to all the weird words that they use to name their spells with, but at least it does feel like something you would name your spells.
Thy castle, whack. Thy minions, Whack.
It's like,
Hey, I'm gonna
an
throw ice at you. Bufu. Bufu what? Bufu D's nuts. Oh.
I mean, an ice spell called Bufula. That's like, okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Sounds like a bootleg FUBU clothing, like apparel. Like, what the fuck?
Well, I mean, it's technically just based off the sound you make when you're cold, but
Yeah.
Bufu?
Oh man, that level
But at
up was
least it-
Aggie.
Yeah,
but at least
because
but at
The
least
sound
it
I'm making.
sounds-
Fuck, it's cold.
But at least it sounds like it could reasonably be taken as an incantation or invocation or some shit like that.
yeah, but like again, a lot of people. This is something that really didn't come across on the NES at all. Because like if you look at the covers for the old Dragon Warrior NES things, it's like sword and sorcery 80s fantasy novel stuff, and in Japanese it's like goofy ass Dragon Ball manga comic characters, and it's like, yeah, this is a game meant for children's. So when you teleport and you go zoom, then it's like, yeah, it's because this game is made for 12-year-olds.
But
Yeah,
you know,
but in any case, you're gonna lower
least
my
we're-
accuracy. Sukunda D's nuts. Oh,
at least we're past the era of Fire 1, Fire 2.
yeah. You know,
And that
Yeah.
you know was a translation thing for the most part. Like I think maybe Final Fantasy 2 might have done it, but like the spells in Japanese for the longest time have been Firaga.
yeah.
yeah, that's just
It's
easier
only because
to
they
do
can
with
get away with it with-
Japanese
It just took
characters.
it just took a bastard long time for the English localizations to catch up.
Well,
Were they
that's what I
still
was
doing
saying.
Fire 2 and 3 in like the Final Fantasy 6?
Final
No.
Fantasy 8 was the first one where they didn't name them after numbers.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Where there was a specific tier system.
They could have done
basically.
it in Final Fantasy 7, but they didn't for some
Well, that's
reason.
because Final Fantasy 7
Honestly,
was
they could
translated
have done
by
it with.
Babelfish.
They could have technically started doing it with Final Fantasy 4. They just
They
didn't.
could
Yeah,
have.
it's
Yeah.
like at least Final Fantasy 2 and 3 have the excuse of NES games. There's only so much you can really put in.
Well, they only had like 4 or 5 characters per spell name, so
Yeah,
they kind of
so-
had to.
Yeah. Like even more so, like it's justifiable with the NES games. Early SNES you can justify because you're not that familiar with the hardware at first, but by 5 and 6, you don't need to be calling it Fire War 2. Or
Yeah, and like Final Fantasy 4, like that game barely counts as being translated if we're being nice. And look, I love Final Fantasy 4. It's probably still my favorite one, but like yeah, they didn't
I don't
try
think anyone
super
is going to
hard.
get on your ass for criticizing the Final Fantasy 4 translation.
Yeah, they didn't try that hard to have it make sense. You know.
Yeah. At this point, everyone knows that game was translated basically in half an hour with a thesaurus and Google Translate. Google Translate traveled back in time to translate Final
Yeah, I was
Fantasy
gonna
4.
say what Google Translate.
That 1992 was it? They're probably using Babelfish back then.
It traveled back in time from the days of our Resident Evil 4 transcribe audio edition video.
You know,
So,
transcribe
I'm
audio
surprised.
actually works mostly as advertised now, and it's boring.
Yeah, but like back then, we literally had a subtitle that just randomly said "What in Ronald Raquel," and I'm like, it's like what?
That's right.
I've gone back and watched that video from time to time, and it's just like, geez, it was a
I
different.
think
time.
what throws me off with that one is because we did like a screen capture for that sort of
so
shit.
it's,
Yeah.
it's even worse.
And it's
just terrible.
It's
quality.
weird seeing YouTube's old interface.
You see, YouTube's interface has just changed so much that's like every time it changes, it's like, oh, this is terrible. How could they change it? And then we get used to it, and then they change it again, and it's somehow worse every single time. Like, I don't think that I would nowadays like the like 2009 YouTube layout, but you know.
when people complain about them changing their layouts, it's more because they remove features whenever they do.
You have to streamline it, Lewis.
And then they add features nobody wanted or asked for, like the Premiere system, which I'm sure people have found use for now that we've gotten used to having it around. But like,
I think
did we
numbers
need
wise,
that?
it's shown that people actually watch the video less.
Yeah, I remember
a
when
premiere.
we did a premiere once. I forget what video it was for, but the comments were
you
just
know-
everybody
No,
being like, "Never do a premiere ever again."
No, it wasn't even us. It's like most content creators I know will say it's like don't really do it because it's just numbers wise they just found that it just didn't work out as well.
It really does depend on the kind of video you're doing a premiere for, because sometimes it does really make a lot of sense to do a premiere, but like it.
From what, in my experience, just colloquially, if I see a premiere for something that's coming up, I'll be like, oh, okay, and then if I don't generally watch them live, and so I'll then be like, oh, where was that video? And I have trouble finding it in my subscription page, because, like, I don't know when the hell it's supposed to be. Like, when it was uploaded or when the thing was premiered. So.
Yeah. Well,
this game's pretty.
But, like, back in the day, we used to be able to set our own wallpapers for our YouTube channels. We used to be able to move things around on our big old complicated YouTube page, and it would be nice to have some of that stuff back again. But, like, the way YouTube works now, you can have a banner. If you have a file that's like exactly the correct number of vertical and horizontal pixels.
If you're too off, it's skewed and doesn't look right.
No, I'm pretty sure if you're too off, it just won't upload. But like the majority of the page is always going to be like the same white and or gray as the rest of YouTube. So your brand isn't your brand; it's YouTube's brand with your brand plastered in a smaller banner across the top. And that's just, you know, the way social media is now. Everything has to be a banner and stuff below. But they also sectioned off your like channel's chat box into its own page that no one ever checks anymore. So like, you know, when you
the community tab. I mean, it depends, like, because it is good for sometimes I'm surprised by whenever I actually do use the community tab. When I ask a question or when I make a poll, it does get a lot of interaction.
Well, that's because if you have a lot of subscribers, your community tab is going to show up in their subscriptions box.
But like the fact that people see it, though, that's the point.
Yeah,
you know,
like,
I'm always of the mind that this is going to get
like
buried in like the recommendation tab.
But they only see it
shit.
if you already have a lot of subscribers. Whereas you didn't need a whole lot of subscribers for that shit to be active back in the day, because it was on your front page. Everyone could see it. It was there. You were actively chatting, probably.
It's because you've got the algorithm on your side, Johnny.
No, I do fucking not.
You dare insult our Lord Almighty, the algorithm?
But basically,
if anything, BrainScratch would be in more favor of the algorithm than my channel because you guys upload.
But basically, what it comes down to is that the modern community tab is only really active if your channel is already popular. But you need to try and make it active to make your channel popular. So instead of that kind of cool social media experience you used to have back when, you know, people were actively posting on each other's channels, you have the usual non-feedback loop of beating your head against a wall while nobody pays attention to your community stuff until you reach the point where they spontaneously start paying attention to it. So you have to go through months upon months upon months of discouraging silence until you reach the point where the silence goes away. And that's trying to create a presence for yourself on the internet in a nutshell these days.
Do as she says, boy.
To be honest, though, like, part of that isn't even just the difference in design. Part of that is probably just that message boards were more popular back then. So people were just in a different sort of habit.
I understand.
Yeah, I think the idea of a message board is more in line with folks our age and beyond. Like, I think everyone like younger than us or in the Zoomer generation just uses Discord for everything.
Okay, so why does she freak out about the green arrows again?
We will find a way later, and no, it's not because Oliver Queen uses them.
What's this about a head?
Matter of actress had a fucking boxing glove arrow.
Love the explanation for that, by the way.
Who this is? Did you kill him?
I mean, yes,
His
but
request. He claimed you could revive him.
Me? Are you sure you heard him right?
Please?
Please bring this guy back to life, please.
we need a way to get ahead on our journey.
been a long time since I've practiced the old magic.
Fine, I'll do it if you just don't do that again.
Let's have
I
a
think
look.
what
Works
you
every
meant
time,
was
boy.
ahead on our way.
Thankfully, his head hasn't caved and his
Final
brain
Fantasy
is still
soundtrack joke.
intact.
Oh, I thought you were just making a head pun.
That too.
Multi-layered jokes, boy.
Cutting off his head of all people.
That's the real YouTube money.
So wait, who's this guy again? Is he like a god in Norse
Now, pull his
mythology?
head into the
He's
water
Mimir.
and Don't let go. I mean it.
I don't remember that one.
What Marvel superhero
Yeah,
is he?
exactly. You know,
We fed you.
I was kind of waiting for him to make that.
Okay,
noise.
so not to creep you out too much, my guy, but in order to revive you, we fed you. Oh, you found them.
Understand.
I was gonna say we fed you a bunch of maggots and then boiled your head in a pot, but
yeah, I mean, this might be a little bit over your head, but
Yes.
Good.
Oh,
oh my god,
yeah, been a long time.
that's Freya.
Well,
Yep.
What I did.
Wow,
I did
okay.
fine.
Apparently.
As far as I'm concerned.
Wow, all
that
right,
suits you
that's
I'd
interesting.
bow if I could, Your Majesty. Forgive me. Had I known the witch in the woods was Freya herself, I never would have suggested this.
Freya? The goddess Freya?
You didn't know either. Sorry.
When word gets out that Mimir is free, the wrath of Odin won't be far behind.
So wait, what
Yeah,
did Freya
lightning
do to
god,
piss
whatever.
off Odin?
Leader of the Vanir. once
Basically,
was.
Mimir is the whole "I'm smarter than you are" sort of guy, and Odin doesn't like that.
Yeah, but what did Freya do to piss him off?
I like how
We'll get into that.
she basically responds to him giving her shit for not telling him that she's a god by like very subtly saying, "Yeah, I know what you are, and you're not telling anybody either. So you got no place to talk, big guy."
Trust her.
Because she's a god?
Or have I taught you nothing, boy?
But she's helped us a lot.
She lied.
Some people value their privacy. Best not.
Oh, and now we're just carrying this guy around.
Why, your council
Yes.
head? I will ask.
Fair enough. Get me to Tyr's temple at
Fair
the
enough.
9 and I'll get you
I
to
like this
Jotunheim
guy.
As promised.
The nice part is he's the one who tells us stories now, because Kratos is really bad at them.
The last living giant in Midgard. Who better to tell us the way?
The world serpent? Wait, do you know how to talk to him?
Indeed. He speaks an obscure tongue more ancient even than these mountains.
Please say it takes
None
more
are
than an
left in
entire day to
Midgard
say
who
good
speak
morning.
it. Except, of course,
And
wouldn't know it
jokes.
to look at him, but Jormungandr is a
Are the
stunning
Ents?
conversationalist.
Do the Ents do this? Are they basically the same in the book as they are in the movie?
More or less.
Okay.
Somewhat, although Pippin and Mary have more things to do while they're hanging out with the Ents than they do in the movie.
Ah, okay.
And then all the story beats the Ents are involved in are still there. So
Okay.